What really made me become a serious painter was this event I never forget. It was in the mid-90s. I was coming from Dimapur to Tuensang in a night bus. And halfway, this guy, he gets up and he started shouting. He told the bus driver to stop. He dragged the driver and started beating him up. And he wasn't alone, he was with some chamchas. I never saw that guy again. After a month, one night at around 9:30, 10, I could hear someone being beaten up with an iron pipe. That time I was a young mother, my kids were very small, and I was thanking God that they were asleep, so they didn't hear any of this commotion. In the morning, I heard that he was an underground, someone who changes factions. So the other group didn't like it, so he was killed. And because I have seen him, I have seen his face, and I have seen his wildness. I mean, he's a real brute, but then like him being beaten up, it really made me sad. Another incident which affected me was while I was doing my research, I went to this lady because she was a good weaver. I went to her place and she told me she had stopped weaving. And the reason was that her only son simply disappeared. And after a month, she came to know that her son was killed. The body was not found. So this lady, she told me that Mula bachala hati dikhilibi ami itu jani jabo. So that really affected me, and it was during this time that I really became a serious painter. If you see my paintings, it'll be very dark and gloomy, and that is how I painted the loom. Because what a Naga woman does is after work in the fields is done, after the household chores are done, she will sit down to weave. And this lady told me that it was when she was about to start weaving that she heard the news of her son being killed. So that was how I painted the loom. In 2016, my theme was speaking out through my paintings, violence against women. And so I portrayed these different Naga tribes, women. And now I want to give hope through my paintings to people, because we can't be full of dark things, and too much of pessimism is not good, it's not healthy, and we have the younger generations to care for. So my paintings is mostly on hope. It was early 2000 when I was doing my research. I went to this particular village and they were having this church fundraising day. So every villagers, they brought in their stuffs, and there I saw this brown, plain textile being hung in the stalls, and I just fell in love with it. So I bought, and now the rest is history. I use it as my canvas. I am and still is fascinated by the material when I first discovered it, and the color and the strength of this nettle textile, and the history with the way it was harvested, spun and put together, and also the passion that was involved in making it. It is so tedious, and now I found that in most of the remote villages, this textile has been replaced by cheap Chinese stuffs. So this art is dying, and in a very small way, I wanted to do something to revive it, and so I decided there that I would be using this as a canvas for my paintings, and that is how it started. And the people, my informants during my research, they became my suppliers. So they, because they are the ones who still practice this art, and they give me now and then. But now I find it difficult to find this because the supply has become very erratic. The netted textile which I use for my canvas as compared to commercial canvas allows me to be flexible because it does not get moldy, and I'm still amazed at the way it retains its sheen and texture even without curing. There are people who also discovered these textiles, and they take it to this Hornbill festival, and they sell it at a very exorbitant rate. It's like 4,000 to 5,000. So that is another problem which I have to tackle, because I want to make the villagers realize that this has to be sustainable. You know, this is not one time where you can go to the Hornbill festival and sell it. Who will buy? The foreigners don't buy. They just come and take photographs. For them, taking photographs of this is enough. And there are some Naga collectors, but we don't have so much of them. So, you know, once they make it, and then if they don't sell it, then they get very disappointed. So in another way, like, instead of reviving it, this art is again dying. Road shows has done so much good for me because they have revived so many old dying arts. And when I asked, is this textile still being used, and they said, of course, because of these road shows, they have this carving of village log drum. And so while carving, you know, they still uses this nettle shawl while carving. It's few villages practice it even today. Also, when they go hunting to put off the human scent, they would wear this jacket or this shawls. But now, because the hunting is banned, so maybe the use of shawl for hunting is relevant no more. But using the shawl for carving the log drum is still on. Winter tends to be very cold in the Naga hills, so in places where they don't have these blankets, they would put ashes under the bed, and the wooden bed would be warm, and they would sleep on top of it. And another use for this is while going on a war path, these warriors, I have in my collection this this hat. I call it the war helmet. This sturdy helmet made of cane is very hard, so like they would put this nettle fiber inside, so this acts as a cushion. The textile is now being discovered or rediscovered, and this has been reviving, especially in some villages in Tuensang. Even the church encourages this art, and also in some Chakasang villages. Reviving this art of nettle fiber puts us in a unique position to look into the past, the present, and the future. We still will be able to keep this old tradition alive and also inspire others around us to create new works of art with this material. I paint from the heart, and so even if I can't sell my paintings, I am okay with it, and because if I don't paint, I'll die.